Welcome to Scary World, where we walk you through the latest and greatest in the world of horror. I am your host, Arturo Padilla. Before I get to today's movie, let's check out the latest headline in the world of horror.
Now turn on the news.
That's right, folks. Danny Boyle and Alex Garland are teaming up once again. This time to launch a new trilogy based off their seminal horror masterpiece, 28 Days Later. The project lands at Sony after a long bidding war, and the three movies have a budget of $60 million apiece. The first one being 28 Years Later, which will be directed by Danny Boyle himself, and obviously written by Alex Garland as well. The rest of the trilogy will be executive produced by Danny Boyle, but all three movies will be written by Alex Garland. And surprise, surprise, folks, Mr. Cillian Murphy himself will be back to produce at an executive capacity and possibly star in the movie itself. So that's very exciting. I'm very excited. I know you folks are very excited. We spoke about it on The Morgue as well. Go check that out, as we want this to happen so very bad. And I know you folks out there want this to happen bad. And I am very glad that Danny Boyle himself and Garland are back to recreate, hopefully, some kind of magic, right? Before we get down to business, folks, first off, no spoilers.
Okay, I'm not going to spoil the surprise.
Now that we got that out of the way, we got some rules for you guys.
We got some rules around here.
There are 5 categories.
5 of them.
Each category can earn up to 2 points.
Boom! 2 points.
Production.
Camera shy.
How good the movie looks and sounds. The overall execution. Story.
I want a story. A story about what? About
Is it good? Is it coherent? Is the dialogue written well? Ensemble.
any of them move, you fry 'em.
Are the characters well developed? Are the actors doing a good job? Horror.
Is it scary?
How do the horror elements fare? Was there blood and gore? And was it effective? Is it scary? Legacy.
Penny for your thoughts?
My overall thoughts: did the movie add to the horror genre overall? And does it have any legs and traction? In today's movie, we go way back in time.
Ice Age!
We're not going that far back, Mr. Freeze. We're actually going to the Stone Age.
Where have you been? The Stone Age?
Now, Out of Darkness takes place in the old Stone Age, where a desperate gang of early humans
The modern Stone Age family.
band together in search of new land. But when they suspect a malevolent, mystical being is
Dinosaurs?
hunting them down, the clan are forced to confront a danger they never envisaged.
They're Stone Age brutes.
Let's break this one down, folks. Let's start with production.
You guys gonna watch me?
This movie was directed by Andrew Cumming. He is making his feature debut. And you know what? Not bad, folks. Not bad. This movie is well put together. It's shot extremely well. There's great use of wide landscapes here that just kind of throw you into this wild setting of just long, long ago. There's sprawling landscapes throughout the entire movie here, especially as our characters are running across the screen. All you see is this really barren landscape that just kind of sets the tone for the entire movie here, and really shows you what our characters are dealing with, right? Especially because there's nothing there. There's no food for them. There's no shelter. There's no shade. There's nothing for them in these barren landscapes. And the director and his film crew do a good job of framing all these shots in a way where you witness just how alone these guys really are out there. For the proper execution of the movie, this deserves a 2 for production. Next up, the story category.
Second act needs work.
This movie had an interesting story, yet everything seemed very familiar. It was a human versus the unknown type of vehicle where you don't know what's going to happen. You know there's a force of some kind, an unknown force, whether it's supernatural or natural, and it's waiting for our protagonist here. This is quite the same. It has the same kind of vibe as Beowulf or 13th Warrior had when it came to, searching the forest and all that stuff. This movie had a slow act 2. The runtime was short, but in retrospect, Act 2 felt a little dragged out. I wish they would have added a little bit more action into Act 2 in order to hammer home certain details about the antagonist here in this movie. And for all this, I feel like it could have done a better job at kind of tying up the little loose ends and closing out some loops there. And for that, it gets a 1. Next up is the ensemble category.
They were acting real creepy.
The movie had a good cast. They really did their thing. I can't really complain much. The characters were developed well. They were very simple, but they had the proper development throughout the course of the movie in order to make this a successful endeavor. The movie is primarily anchored by our character Bea, our lead character Bea, played by Safia Oakley Green. She does a great job in anchoring this whole thing from the jump. Everything kind of hinges on her performance here and the strength of her character. And fortunately, that is done very well. Her character stands out amongst the rest of the cast there. And her character really is the one that is that we're following here in this story as she goes along through this journey in search of of a missing member of their clan. And I think she did a fantastic job. The rest of the cast was good. They did their thing. They played their parts very effectively, very well. Like I said, the characters were simple, but the actors did a great job making that simple character into a fully fledged, fully formed piece of this puzzle. And they could have done a better job in terms of pumping up the antagonist. That's my main gripe with this movie, specifically with the characters themselves. The protagonists were fleshed out, but I feel that the antagonist could have been just a bit more developed in terms of what we got at the end of the movie. And for that, for story, it gets a 1. Next up, my favorite category, the horror.
This place gives me the creeps.
This movie did a very good job making sure that we were scared, I guess, is the best way to put it. They used the darkness to their full advantage here, aiding the antagonist in this movie with, whatever they had to do in terms of the scare tactics being used against the protagonists. The darkness was used in a way that really kept me engaged in the movie. I'm pretty sure it will keep you guys engaged as well, especially through the second act. The second act itself is a little slower. It's a little bit more of that slow burn I was talking about. But the darkness really helps that because it keeps you in the edge of your seat with the suspense and the tension, and you really don't know what's going to pop out of those woods. So they did a really good job using the darkness as an antagonist in their movie. Another thing this movie did very well was the practical effects. The practical effects look great. There is not a lot of it, but when they show what they need to show, it looks really good. It looks really gnarly. They did a really good job. It elevates those scenes. I kind of wish we got some more of that. Again, especially in the second act where it's a little slower. But they did a good job with the gore. It's all practical for the most part. It looks great on the screen. They shot it well, especially with all the darkness involved. The blood looked great. They did a fantastic job making sure you kind of knew exactly what you were looking at, especially through all the darkness. So kudos to them. And because of that, it gets a 2 for horror. The next and the last category is legacy.
What do you think?
The very end of this movie will be a little polarizing for audiences, in my opinion. It could be a make or break moment for the viewer. For me personally, I thought it was a good ending, honestly, a good twist to what the overall message of and themes of this movie were. Without spoiling anything, it definitely accomplished its goal in terms of character arcs, and I thought they did a great job with that reveal, or with that twist ending, you might want to call it. It was a solid effort. Like I said before, I wish they definitely hammered home the threat of the antagonist a little more, you know, because it was a threat. It was a threat to our protagonist. It was a threat to them because they had no idea what they were facing. They had no idea what they were going to encounter. So I wish they would have played that up a little more, especially since they reveal a bunch of stuff in the third act. You want to kind of know a bit more, a bit how they got there, a bit how the antagonist operated. So that's my only thing with this movie at the end of everything. For the legacy, it gets a 1. Let's tally up the score for Out of Darkness. It got a 2 in production, a 1 in story, a 1 in ensemble, 2 for horror, and 1 for overall legacy, bringing the total up to 7. 7 out of 10 for this one, folks. It was not bad at all. Was a surprise, did not know what to expect. This movie is going to be in limited release this coming weekend. I hope you folks can catch it. Go watch Out of Darkness in theaters this weekend, folks.
Can you tell me what time it is?
Game over, man. It's game over.
And that's a wrap, folks. Thank you for watching Scary World. Don't forget to visit all the socials of Corpsefeed to like, subscribe, and share. Come back to this YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and share. We have the Morgue archives for all of you guys there. We have 179 episodes of the Morgue for you guys to check out anywhere you get your podcast. We have the Morgue archives on video here on the YouTube channel as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And most importantly, folks, remember, it's a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.
I just wanted to say goodbye.